Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Thank you for those of you that wished me well at the wedding. Not my wedding, for those of you that have not seen that video. It was actually a friend's wedding. We were in Devon. Lovely location, really nice time. Really enjoyed myself and just had to give you that little update on Brian Hill, not Brian Gill, as he's told us in the little video that he done from the Olympics to introduce himself. So that one's over the line, done and dusted. So in this video, we're just going to talk a little bit about possible transfers and little links that we've had over the last few days. You may know some of them already, but I just want to give my opinion on them and what I think, as usual. And any comments below, please leave them and we'll have a discussion. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and show your support. Put a thumbs up on the video, give it a like if you enjoy what's said. So we'll just jump straight into it with the transfers. There's some about possible outgoings as well as incomings. And the first one we'll talk about is Japhet Tanganga. Galatasaray apparently want to take him on loan. And jumping on the bandwagon of that, people knowing he might be available. Southampton and Burnley as well are looking at him. So apparently there's going to be talks with Nuno Paratici and Daniel Levy and the player himself and probably his agent just to talk about the amount of game time he can expect this season, and that will determine whether he goes out on loan or not. There's been a lot of Spurs fans moaning, saying they don't want to see him go out on loan, they want to see him playing. However, look, it's going to come down to what centre-backs we bring in as to how much game time he's going to have and who sticks around. Chances are he's not going to start over Dyer if Dyer stays. Or if Sanchez stays, then if Romero comes in, Tomiyasu, you'd expect Tanganga's not going to get a lot of game time. Out at right back, I don't agree with him playing there, as many of you fans don't. We prefer him as a centre-back. So best thing for his development, I personally think, is to go out on loan. Galatasaray would be a great experience for him because the fans in Turkey are so passionate. My only worry is that he could face racial slurs and stuff. It's a league that has a bit of a reputation for racism, so I wouldn't like him to go out there and get a load of abuse at such a young age of 22. He'd obviously prefer to stay in the Premier League anyway. Burnley would be a great place to go. Sean Dyche is a great manager, has very defensively organised teams. That would be great for his development. And as they are one of the weaker teams in the Premier League, I say weaker, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but they face a lot more shots and teams come onto him a lot more. So he'd have a lot more defensively to do, which in the long run will make him a better player. Southampton, I don't know. They obviously don't want to deal with us in terms of transfers. When the Danny Ings thing come about, there was reports saying they didn't want to deal with us because of how the Højbjerg thing was done, which tells me that why we want to deal with them? Do you know what I mean? You can't have your cake and eat it. So if they come in, look, it'd be great for him. Kyle Walker-Peters is certainly having a good time over there. Hassan Hüttl, very good manager, has got him playing really nice football. But that would obviously come at a price. If they want to do a deal with us for him, they're probably going to have to allow us to have a little discussion about Danny Ings. So yeah, it'd be great for him to go out on loan unless he's going to get regular game time for us. Next one, player that we were linked with earlier in the transfer window, Dusan Vlahovic. Very talented guy. Apparently a top target for us. Fiorentina want 50 million for him though. And apparently we want him to partner Kane. This isn't going to be as a replacement. Obviously, if we're going to pay 50 million, you'd expect he would be a long-term replacement for Harry Kane. 50 million's a lot for a youngster that's only really had one great season. So I'm not overly convinced on that one. We're certainly going to try and get the price down. Let me know what you think on that one. He does look a top player though. Next one is an outgoing, and this one's actually been done. Troy Parrott has joined MK Dons on loan for the season. So that's League One. He was obviously on loan in the Championship last season. Didn't go too well for him. Found himself in and out of sides. Was having no luck with his goal scoring form. Grabbed a couple of assists. Had a bit of a spell out with an injury. So he had a real roller coaster of a season last year. Hasn't really done much pre-season for us. So another loan for him makes sense. League One will be a good place for him. He'll get more game time. Be able to build his confidence up. Hopefully banging a shed load of goals. So I wish him the best on that. The other outgoings we know, Lamella's gone to Sevilla. I mean, many of you all know that I love Lamella. I love his passion, his energy. All right, he's a bit of a headless chicken at times, but puts the effort in, wears the Spurs shirt well. He will be sorely missed. Without his injuries, he'd have been a top player. he had a lovely message to say goodbye to us. So I wish him the best for the future. The other one, obviously, Toby Alderweireld. It was a strange one going to Qatar after he said he wanted to go back to Belgium or maybe even the Netherlands, just for his kids, really, to raise him in a certain way. So he's joined Al Duhail. I think that's how you pronounce it. So he's gone over there. Look, it'll be a massive payday for him, and then he can go back to Belgium for a club that's, not as good as Spurs were, but still, he might be able to play some form of Champions League football, European football out there. Fantastic servant over the years. I'll never forget what he did for us next to Super Jan. What a partnership. At one point, I would say one of the best partnerships in world football. So yeah, the best of luck to him. Moving on to our possible transfers, the Romero deal. Look, this one is probably going to go on for a while, unless we randomly put in the money they want. So they want a lot of money for him. We want to do a deal where we pay in instalments, which is very sensible considering our financial situation and the fact that we need another centre-back on top of that. We'll probably look at another central midfielder and a second striker. So expect this one to drag on because Levy will want the right price. Sometimes it's great when Levy lets these ones go on a while because we get a really good deal. Other times we end up missing out. Jack Grealish missed out on that one. I'd hate to see this one get away from us completely. I do think Romero would be a hell of a signing for us. But an alternative to that, and this is a strange one, apparently we're looking at Chris Smalling. I think this one is just paper talk. Obviously, he's at Roma. Jose Mourinho, his former Manchester United manager, is there with him. I don't know what their relationship is like. Look, Chris Smalling's a very nice guy. Speaks really well, understands the game well. I don't think he's a guy to take us on to the next level. I kind of put him in the same bracket as Eric Dyer. So I don't really see the point in that one happening as an alternative. Celtic are interested in Joe Hart. There's a bit of an annoyance there. Celtic don't want to pay anything for him because obviously we got him for free. We're asking for 1 million. I don't think that's a lot for a player of Joe Hart's experience. It's not our fault we got him in on a free. Why should we be punished for that? He's not going to want to be third choice goalkeeper. Obviously, Galini's come in and will be battling for the number one spot against Lloris. And he actually looked really good today in the open training session. I was watching that online. If you went to the open training session, let me know in the comments below and talk to me about who impressed you, what it was like, the atmosphere, how was it being back in the stadium. I enjoyed watching it online, to be fair, because you get lots of close-ups and there was interviews being done around the stadium at the time. But yeah, Joe Hart was involved in training today. So that deal with Celtic is obviously nowhere near anything other than preliminary talks. What else we got? Another potential alternative to Romero is Kurt Zouma. So this is interesting. Obviously, he's a bit older than the other guys. 21 million, so he's a lot cheaper than Romero and Jules Koundé, who we are obviously interested in. And Koundé is just seeing us as a last resort at the moment. But Chelsea have actually offered him in a swap deal to Sevilla for Koundé. I don't know if that's something they're interested in. And even if they are, Kurt Zouma apparently wants to stay in the Premier League. And who can blame him? Best league in the world. Would he be interested in Tottenham? Possibly. We've been linked with him before and didn't manage to get it over the line. Will Chelsea want to do business with us? Probably not. They're not going to want to strengthen a rival. So I don't expect that one to happen unless Chelsea need to move him on. Sessegnon. Obviously, he's been missing. We haven't seen him in pre-season yet. Unless you've been watching the Spurs videos on YouTube, on the official YouTube page. He was in the first couple of training videos, playing out wide. Don't worry, he's not going anywhere as far as we know at the moment. He's held talks with Nuno. Nuno likes the player. He's tried to sign him twice already when he was manager of Wolves. Likes the player. Levy wants him to play this season. Sessegnon actually said when he was on loan that when he comes back, he doesn't want to go out on loan again. He wants to be in the squad, wants to fight for his place. All it is, slight hamstring injury, just keeping him out. So expect him to be in and around the first team the second he's back. The Athletic were the first to claim this, and many other sources have in the last day or so. Oliver Skipp could potentially go back out on loan. Now, this is annoying for a couple of reasons. One, he's looked fantastic in pre-season so far. even considering he had an injury at the end of last season, which he said was like hell for him, like the worst weeks of his life. Performed massively for Norwich last season. The Norwich fans would have loved him back. In fact, they were desperate for him to buy him. Was never going to happen because he's got a great future ahead of him. Low centre of gravity, always wants the ball, great passing ability, which we've already seen in pre-season with that half volley ping across to the wing, pinpoint accuracy, another lovely ball out to Bergwijn in one of the other games. Look, he's looked very good. Question is he going to play enough minutes to warrant him staying? Selfishly, we'd say yes, bring him in off the bench. But I'd expect Tanguy's going to play a lot. Højbjerg obviously is not coming out of there. We still don't know what's going on with Harry Winks. So if there's those people in his way, by all means send him out on loan. But I want him to go to a Premier League club. Norwich obviously took Billy Gilmore on loan from Chelsea. So I don't know if they'd be interested in Skippy still. But look, he certainly will not be short of suitors. And wherever he goes, he'll do very well. But it has to be the Premier League now, just to give him regular game time, again, after his promotion last season. A strange one, but I'm going to read it anyway because we love a strange link. Corriere dello Sport, an Italian outfit, have said, apparently, we are looking at Crotone, who play in Serie B. We are looking at their striker, Simeon Tochukwu Nwankwo, or simply known as Simi. Bit of a strange one. Look, he stands at 1.98 m, so he's tall. And that's actually taller than Fernando Llorente. He's Nigerian, and apparently they want 10 million for him. That seems a lot for a Serie B player, granted. He doesn't look too bad, actually. If you go and have a look at... I mean, obviously everyone looks good on YouTube if you get the right highlight reel. But he doesn't look too bad. Last season, he actually put away 20 goals in 38 games. So he's got a good goal-scoring record. And look, we've been linked with Championship players before, and we've said, let's get that player. So why not a Serie B player? It's just one step down from Serie A. It doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad player. Look, sometimes great players end up in squads that have been relegated or, for whatever reason, they've ended up where they are. I don't think it will happen because we'll be looking at better quality. But if we can't get them in, it's an option. What else? Sky Sport Italia claim that we are looking at Ruben Kazan winger Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. He's a 20-year-old winger. Last season, he got 4 goals and 8 assists in 23 games. Yeah, 20 years old, but he's already a Georgian international. Obviously, Georgia, not a great outfit at all. Do we want another winger? No. 15.3 million is not a lot. I should imagine if he comes in, it could end up being one of those ones where we bring him in and send him out on loan like we did with Jack Clark. That could be an option. But we've got so many wingers about at the moment anyway. Obviously, Jack Clark has said that he wants to stay. Stevie Bergwijn's looked good. Lucas Moura, Sonny. I just can't see us bringing in another one, really. We don't need him. I haven't really looked at him. And obviously, coming from the Russian league, it's an unreliable league to take players on. Very hit and miss. They have some ultra-talented players, but then they have some very, very poor players as well. And they only have a few good teams. It's not the most competitive league going. So, meh. And then the most worrying one, apparently Dele Alli could still be sold. Now, this comes from concerns from the hierarchy at Spurs. They wonder how he's going to fit into Nuno's plans. Will he work in a 4-3-3? So, in pre-season, he's looked fit. He's looked fairly sharp. He's done some good things on the ball. He has gone missing at moments in those games. He looked very good in the open training session today, demanding the ball a lot of skill work, some good passing, getting stuck into the tackle. He's looked good. I'd hate to see him go. It'd be an absolute waste, I think. And Nuno could be the manager to turn things around. And there's no reason he couldn't fit into a 4-3-3. At the end of the day, he's a talented player and he has the ability to play wherever he wants. So I don't think he'll go. I think it's just conversations at the moment because they're not going to want another season where he just sits out of the squad. Like, that's not right. And if that happens, his value is just going to meow. And we'll end up getting nothing for him, which is not what we want. If he's not going to feature too much, then I would suggest a loan for him. I'd hate to see him go. A loan would put him in the shop window. If he has a really good season on loan, smashes it, value goes back up and we could get get a bit more money for him if we have to sell him. But based on the way he's played so far, I can't see it happening. He looks all right. Trained very hard in the off-season, as we know, in Dubai. Put the photos up, put some videos up. Like, he wants to stay and fight. But that's mainly it in terms of transfers. Not many new links, a lot of recurring links. Not a lot about players possibly leaving. There's not been much on Harry Winks and what's happening with him. No real interest shown in Sissoko as far as I know. The whole Aurier thing's gone deadly quiet. He was in the open training session today and looked pretty much like Aurier normally does. Good on the ball at times, poor on the ball at times, letting people in behind, making some great tackles. Very hit and miss. Galini looked good. He made some really good saves today. Fans were cheering on the keepers when they were making big saves and stuff, which must have been nice for him. He got to speak as well on his way round when they were doing a walk round. Spoke very well. His English is fairly good, to be honest. Quite impressed. Got the old coys in there, which got the fans on side. Yeah, it seems like he's going to fit in very well. Seems like a good character to have around the place. Nuno Espirito Santo, he's obviously had another interview in-house with Spurs. It was a Q&A. People talking about his beard and stuff. Look, obviously these interviews aren't really important, but I watch them just to kind of get a gist of the type of character he is. He seems very good. He said his favourite thing about Spurs is to dare is to do. He said he loves the saying, and he repeated it several times. The thing I like about Nuno, he comes across very calm, comes across as a really nice guy, and you can see him in the training sessions and stuff that he talks to players a lot. He will go over, talk to them, tell him what he wants from them. He was having some conversations with Galini today, Harry Winks, Tanguy Ndombele, Ollie Skip, Dele Alli, had a few conversations with him. So yeah, it looked good today. I enjoyed the session. The bit where they done like a possession thing to start with. Once they obviously got the warm-ups out the way, then they put the goals in play and they split into 3 teams. So you'd have the 2 teams on the pitch and the goalkeepers. The other team would then go off and do some work down the side of the pitch. They play for a bit and then they'd rotate it. So the team at this end would then move to that end. The team training then come in. The goalkeepers move around with them. So you essentially play 2 games and then you go off and do some training. And it was nice to have them all rotating, you know, getting some essential stretching and stuff in between, keeping them in good condition. The general play was good. It was interesting seeing some of the guys that he had together within certain teams. There was a lot of what you would call very much first team starters together with Ollie Skip. That was the interesting part. He was in there with players you would expect Nuno to pick to start. So it'll be interesting to see who he goes with in the upcoming games. But let's just talk about those. I'll just get into the other device to talk about those. So the upcoming games obviously are against Chelsea and Arsenal. And they are for the Mind series. So you can watch them live on Spurs TV. I'll just read a little bit about what they've said. So the upcoming pre-season friendlies against Chelsea and Arsenal in the Mind Spirit series will be available to watch live on Spurs TV. We begin our participation in the first of its kind series against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday, 4th of August. That's a kick-off, 7:45 UK time. And as usual, if you're not in the UK, please check your local times for that. Then we have the much anticipated home game against Arsenal on Sunday, the 8th of August, kick-off 2 p.m. That is the men's match, and that will be followed straight by the women's team against Arsenal, kick-off at 4:45. So that will be a good opportunity to see our women play. Look, obviously Arsenal are very, very good in women's football. Our ladies have obviously now started playing at the elite level, which is great. We've got some really good players. We've made a lot of signings. We've had a lot of outgoings as well, so it'd be nice to watch the ladies play. So stick around for that if you are going to watch. The funds raised from the Mind series will be split between Mind as a charity and each of the club's charitable foundations. So the way that's going to work, if you want to watch it on pay-per-view, it's $7.99 with a £4 included VAT donation per subscription to the charities. So Mind will receive 25% of the proceeds from each of the broadcasts, and each of the club's foundations receive 75% of the proceeds from our respective broadcasts. So Arsenal will broadcast it on Arsenal TV as well. So they will use the donations to support mental health and well-being in communities both at home and overseas. Look, mental health is massively important at the moment. I've actually spoken about it previously in one of the videos, and I'm involved in a filming project for mental health at the moment. So look, this is close to my heart, and it should be close to yours. So yeah, it's meant to raise funds for those. If you want to be there for the Arsenal game, you will obviously get to watch the men's and women's game live in the stadium. The tickets are on general sale to anyone who was registered on Spurs' database before the 22nd of June 2021. £5 from each of the tickets sold will be donated to Mind and the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation via the same percentage split, 25%, 75%. You can get your tickets via e-ticketing. So if you go onto the Spurs website and click on the Mind series link, there will be an e-ticketing link on there. That's not going to show up, is it? No, didn't think so. There is an e-ticketing link. Just click that. Will take you on there. Look, it should be good. There's a lot of people not too sure about why we're going to take on other Premier League opposition in pre-season. However, to me it makes sense for the pure fact of COVID. At the end of the day, there's no point in going abroad. Rules can change at any point with travel, so there's no point in going abroad, playing a team, and then all of our players having to isolate for a certain amount of time, and then having to go up against Man City on the opening day of the season with a load of youngsters, and then get absolutely smashed. The other great thing, it keeps the players in London. We're not travelling up and down the country. We're staying locally, not moving about far, able to stay in our bubbles. And on top of that, we're playing teams that are around the same level as us, fighting for the same spots that we are. It's just started to rain. Brilliant. So apologies if you can hear the rain in the background. I've got to go out in that later for work. Meh. Yeah, so look, it makes perfect sense. It will give us a good indication of where we're at, and hopefully the majority of the players will be back in contention for at least one of those games. See where we're at, see what we still need to add. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Expect a video on Bryan Gil at some point. I'm going to do an in-depth video on him. Hopefully I'll get to see some of him at the Olympics to get a better idea myself. Obviously the competition's not as high intensity or at a high level in the Olympics, so it won't be an accurate pictation of him, but I will be looking at his career that he's had so far and breaking that down into a more in-depth video for you, because I know there's a lot of people out there that won't know a lot about him other than watching clips of him on YouTube, which is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some proper intensive research for you, and I will also do one on Galini as well for those of you that are interested, because we've only spoke about him briefly. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you for sticking around. I'm going to enjoy this weather whilst I'm out in it getting absolutely drenched. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.